Babcock's Law: if it can be borrowed and it can be broken, you will borrow it and you will break it. Bear's Quartet: what's good politics is bad economics. What's bad politics is good economics. What's good economics is bad politics. What's bad economics is good politics. Bagdickian's Law of Editors' Speeches: the splendor of an editor's speech and the splendor of his newspaper are inversely related to the distance between the city in which he makes his speech and the city in which he publishes his paper. Baker's Byroad: when you are over the hill, you pick up speed. Baker's Law: misery no longer loves company. Nowadays, it insists on it. Baker's Law of Economics: you never want the one you can afford. Baldy's Law: some of it plus the rest of it is all of it. Balance's Law of Relativity: the length of a minute depends on which side of the bathroom door you're on. Banana Principle: if you buy bananas or avocados before they are ripe, there won't be any left by the time they are ripe. If you buy them ripe, they rot before they are eaten. Banker's Axiom: in order to get a loan, you must first prove you don't need it. Banker's Lament: nothing in the known universe travels faster than a bad check. Barr's comment on domestic tranquility: on a beautiful day like this, it's hard to believe anyone can be unhappy, but we'll work on it. Barth's distinction: there are two types of people, those who divide people into two types and those who don't. Barth's Law of Hokey Horsepuckery: the more ridiculous a belief system, the higher the probability of its success. Baruch's observation: if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Baruch's rule: for determining old age is always 15 years older than I am. Basic baggage principle: whatever carousel you stand by, your baggage will come in on another one. Basic law of befuddlement and football: the best defense is a good offense. Basic law of exams: the more studying you did for the exam, the less sure you are as to which answer they want. Baxter's First Law: government intervention in the free market always leads to a lower national standard of living. Baxter's Second Law: the adoption of fractional gold reserves in a currency system always leads to depreciation, devaluation, demonetization, and ultimately to complete destruction of that currency. Baxter's Third Law: in a free market, good money always drives bad money out of circulation. Beach's Law: no two identical parts are alike. Beard's addendum to interstate travel: the palatability index of any food is inversely proportional to the distance and number of times the restaurant advertises prior to the designated stop. Beardsley's warning to lawyers: beware of and eschew pompous prolixity. Beauregard's First Law: when you're up to your nose, keep your mouth shut. Beauregard's Second Law: all people are cremated equal. Becker's Law: it is much harder to find a job than to keep one. Beckap's Law: beauty times brains equals a constant. Beck's Political Law: a good slogan beats a good solution. Bedfellow's Rule: the one who snores will fall asleep first. Bayfeld's Principle: the probability of a young man meeting a desirable and receptive young female increases by pyramidal progression when he is already in the company of 1. a date, 2. his wife, and 3. a better-looking and richer male friend. Bell's Constant: the ratio of time involved in work to time available for work is usually about 0.6. Bell's Theorem: when a body is immersed in water, the telephone rings. Benchley's distinction: there are two types of people, those who divide people into two types and those who don't. Benchley's Law: anyone can do any amount of work, provided it isn't the work he is supposed to be doing at that moment. Berkowitz's Postulate: a clean desk gives a sense of relief and a plan for impending disaster. Berliner's Law: don't worry about what people think of you, they don't. Berliner's Mother's Observation, aka the guiding force of the cosmos. Aye oyo, the innate animosity of inanimate objects. Berman's corollary to Roberts's axiom. One man's error is another man's data. Bernstein's first law. Buttered bread tends to fall with the buttered side down. Bernstein's precept. The radiologist's national flower is the hedge. Bernstein's second law. A falling body always rolls to the most inaccessible spot. Barra's first law. You can observe a lot just by watching. Barra's second law. Anyone who is popular is bound to be despised. Berson's corollary of inverse distances. The farther away from the entrance that you have to park, the closer the space vacated by the car that pulls away as you walk up to the door. Barrel's law. The consumer report on the item will come out a week after you've made your purchase. Corollaries. 1. The one you bought will be rated unacceptable. 2. The one you almost bought will be rated best buy. Bess's universal principles. 1. The telephone will ring when you're outside the door, fumbling for your keys. 2. You will reach it just in time to hear the click of the collar hanging up. Billings's law. Live within your income, even if you have to borrow to do so. Biondi's law. If your project doesn't work, look for the part you didn't think was important. Bitten's postulate on state-of-the-art electronics. If you understand it, it's obsolete. Blair's observation. The best-laid plans of mice and men are usually about equal. Blanchard's newspaper obituary law. If you want your name spelled wrong, die. Blau's law. Established technology tends to persist in spite of new technology. Boklage's law. He who laughs last probably didn't get the joke. Bogovich's law. He who hesitates is probably right. Bach's law. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Bowling's postulate. If you're feeling good, don't worry. You'll get over it. Bolton's law of ascending budgets. Under current practices, both expenditures and revenues rise to meet each other, no matter which one may be in excess. Bombeck's rule of medicine. Never go to a doctor whose office plants have died. Bonafide's revelation. The conventional wisdom is that power is an aphrodisiac. In truth, it's exhausting. Boob's law. You always find something the last place you look. Booker's law. An ounce of application is worth a ton of abstraction. Boozer's revision. A bird in the hand is dead. Boren's laws of the bureaucracy. 1. When in doubt, mumble. 2. When in trouble, delegate. 3. When in charge, ponder. Borkowski's law. You can't guard against the arbitrary. Borstelmann's rule. If everything seems to be coming your way, you're probably in the wrong lane. Boston's irreversible law of clutter. In any household, junk accumulates to fill the space available for its storage. Boltby's criterion. If the converse of a statement is absurd, the original statement is an insult to the intelligence and should never have been said. Bove's theorem. The remaining work to finish in order to reach your goal increases as the deadline approaches. Bowersox's law of the workshop carpenters. Law. If you have only one nail, it will bend. Boyle's observation. A welfare state is one that assumes responsibility for the health, happiness, and general well-being of all its citizens except the taxpayers. Boyle's other laws. 1. The first pull on the cord will always send the drapes the wrong way. 2. Anything sore will be bumped more often. Brillec's rule. For success, trust only those who stand to lose as much as you when things go wrong. Branch's first law of crisis. The spirit of public service will rise, and the bureaucracy will multiply itself much faster in time of grave national concern. Brandolini's law. The amount of energy needed to refute bullshit is an order of magnitude bigger than that needed to produce it. Breda's rule. At any event, the people whose seats are furthest from the aisle arrive last. Bryan's first law. At some time in the life cycle of virtually every organization, its ability to succeed in spite of itself runs out. Briffault's law. The female, not the male, determines all the conditions of the animal family. Where the female can derive no benefit from association with the male, no such association takes place. Robert Briffault, The Mothers, Vol I, p. 191. Briggs Law of Traffic. At any level of traffic, any delay is intolerable. Brinks's observation. No armored car loaded with bags of money ever turned over and spilled its load in the street in a good neighborhood. Britt's green thumb postulate. The life expectancy of a houseplant varies inversely with its price and directly with its ugliness. Broder's Law. Anybody that wants the presidency so much that he'll spend 2 years organizing and campaigning for it is not to be trusted with the office. Bromberg's first law of auto repair. When the need arises, the tool or object closest to you becomes a hammer. Bromberg's second law of auto repair. No matter how minor the task, you will inevitably end up covered with grease and motor oil. Brontosaurus principle. Organizations can grow faster than their brains can manage them in relation to their environment and to their own physiology. When this occurs, they are an endangered species. Brooks' first law. Adding manpower to a late software project makes it later. Brooks' laws of retailing. Security isn't. Management can't. Sales promotions don't. Customer assistance doesn't. Workers won't. Brooks's second law. Whenever a system becomes completely defined, some damn fool discovers something that either abolishes the system or expands it beyond recognition. Brownian motion rule of bureaucracies. It is impossible to distinguish from a distance whether the bureaucrats associated with your project are simply sitting on their hands or frantically trying to cover their asses. Corollary. If you observe a bureaucrat closely enough to make the distinction above, he will react to your observation by covering his ass. Brown's, Jerry, Law. Too often, I find that the volume of paper expands to fill the available briefcases. Brown's, Sam, Law. Never offend people with style when you can offend them with substance. Brown's, Tony, Law of Business Success. Our customers' paperwork is profit. Our own paperwork is loss. Buchwald's Law. As the economy gets better, everything else gets worse. Busey's Law. Nothing is ever accomplished by a reasonable man. Bumper-to-bumper belief. Theorem. Traffic congestion increases in proportion to the length of time the street is supervised by a traffic control officer. Buñuel's Law. Overdoing things is harmful in all cases, even when it comes to efficiency. Bureaucracy principle. Only a bureaucracy can fight a bureaucracy. Bureaucratic cop-out 1. You should have seen it when *I* got it. Burns's balance. If the assumptions are wrong, the conclusions aren't likely to be very good. Burr's Law. You can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time, and that's sufficient. Butler's Law of Progress. All progress is based on a universal innate desire on the part of every organism to live beyond its income. Bye's first law of model railroading. Anytime you wish to demonstrate something, the number of faults is proportional to the number of viewers. Bye's second law of model railroading. The desire for modeling a prototype is inversely proportional to the decline of the prototype.